Because see, for me, I look at what I do, and I look at the essence of the teachers that I work with. That is what I do. That is why I'm here. I'm here to serve educators. I'm here to serve those who work in child welfare. I'm here to serve those individuals who come to work every day with a greater sense of understanding and a greater sense of purpose of why they do what they do. Because in this game, it's not about the money, it's about the outcome. And when we have outcomes in this game, when we have children who succeed, when we have children who win, we begin to change the fabric of this great country, and we begin to change the fabric of our communities, and we begin to see some things that most people will tell you that you will never achieve. Because understand, there are a lot of doubters out here in this world. There are armchair theologians who will tell you that what you do doesn't matter. There are people out here who do a lot of teacher bashing, and I'm an anti-teacher basher. I hate people who bash teachers. And they bash them. They say, oh, it's the teacher's fault. It's the teacher this, it's the teacher that. Well, you know what? Teachers have a role, but you can't do everything. But what you can do is enough to inspire a child to be great. To look at his or her life and to see a potential in them that they probably could never see. Because see, my mother, she was a prostitute. My mother, when I was born, she was 24 years of age. My mother had to make a very critical decision. How does she take care of two kids? Two kids, my older brother and myself, being a woman who was of the streets, being a woman who had a lot of trauma in her life, being a woman who didn't know how to connect with people, being a woman who had a low self-esteem. So from her womb, I went directly into foster care. My mother made the decision to place me up for foster care, so I went directly from her womb. My mother, from what they tell me, never even held me. I was born, the nurse held me, my mother looked, she cried, I left. And that's the way it worked. So the question is, there are a lot of kids who come into this profession, a lot of kids that we serve that come from trauma. 7 years in and out of various foster homes, and at the age of 7, I was adopted by my last set of foster parents. But of course, they were much different types of foster parents. They were what we call old school. Everybody say old school. Old school simply meaning that my adopted father was born in 1918, and my adopted mother was born in 1930. And my parents were old school, traditional parents. My dad was a blue-collar worker. My dad worked a factory job. After he came out of World War II, he worked for Frigidaire and then went to work at a factory, and that's all he did. My dad was a provider. My dad was not emotionally connected. Though my dad was there physically, he was not there emotionally. So I had an emotional disconnect with my father. My mother, on the other hand, was a disciplinarian. My mother ran the house. She was what we call the floor general. Like in basketball, the floor general. My mother was the floor general, and my mama was crazy. Anybody got a crazy mom in the house? Just by a show of hands. Okay, very crazy mothers by a show of hands once again. Exactly. My mother was psychotic, which simply means my mama didn't play. Mother, when she said something, it was like E.F. Hutton, everybody listened. And I realized that when I came home one day and my father came home from work. My father worked a very hard job, and my father comes in, and somehow this day dinner was not ready. And so my father comes in and he walks in. That's how my father walked, like this, right? So my father walked in and he's looking around, and my father's hungry. So my father just so happens to say, you mean to tell me that a man goes to work every day and I come home and ain't no food on the table? What's going on? I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat. Man in the house needs to have food on the table. That's what my father talking about. Man in the house needs to have food on the table. And so my mother, here's what she said, and I realized then who was really in control. So my mother, who had mad attitude, everybody say mad attitude. My mother simply looked at my father and she says, oh, for real? Okay, Marion, let me tell you something. Okay, so I've been working all day just like you, okay? And you think you will come here and tell me that dinner on the table? Let me tell you something. You may be man of the house, honey, but I am the neck, because the neck can turn the head any way it wants to go. When my mother said that, when she said that, I knew who was in control. So guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? So my mother was the one who ran the house, and my parents, they did the best they could with what they had, but it was hard and it was rough. Because see, for me, I look at what I do, and I look at the essence of the teachers that I work with. That is what I do. That is why I'm here. I'm here to serve educators. I'm here to serve those who work in child welfare. I'm here to serve those individuals who come to work every day with a greater sense of